Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the multimodality paper presentation. And to kickstart the paper presentation, we have Tianru Guan from University of Maryland, who's going to speak about Illusion Bench, an advanced diagnostic suite for entangled language hallucination and visual illusion and large vision language models. Tianru, the stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kushi. Hi, everyone. My name is Tianrui Guan, a PhD student at UMD. Today, I'll be presenting our work, Hallucination Bench and Advanced Diagnostic Suites for Entangled Language Hallucination and Visual Illusion in Large Vision Language Model. This is a joint work with Fu Xiaoliu and other colleagues at UMD. And our work has just been accepted to CVPR 2024 a few days ago, so I'm very glad to have this opportunity to present our work. So there are three main aspects I want to talk about in this work: the data, the benchmark, and analysis. So we introduced Hallucination Bench, the first advanced diagnostic suite tailored to systematically analyze the diverse failure modes in large visual language model. Hallucination Bench consists of approximately 1,200 visual question-answer pairs, featuring 165 images originally from the internet and another 180 images that are edited based on those original images. We evaluate 14 most recent benchmark methods on Hallucination Bench, including GPT-4 Vision, Gemini Pro Vision, Lalava 1.5, etc. In addition to the correctness and accuracy, our VQA pairs are thoughtfully formulated with an innovative structure, which allows us to quantitatively analyze different aspects where current model failed. And finally, we explore Hallucination Bench and provide in-depth analysis of example on which the SOTA method fails, such as GPT-4 Vision and Lalava 1.5. So first, our datasets consist of yes/no question paired with or without visual. Our VQA pairs by design consist of visual-dependent question and visual supplement questions. For example, in visual-dependent question, the question is asking for some information in the figure, like are the two items of the same size or the two lines parallel with each other. Therefore, the answer could not be specified without the image. On the other hand, in visual supplement question, the question can be answered without visual by using common sense, but visual information can be supplied to facilitate the question answering. So by definition, the visual-dependent questions are defined as questions that do not have an affirmative answer without the visual context. Such questions ask about the image itself or something within the image. So for example, there's no clear answer to is the right orange circle the same size as the left orange circle without the image to provide more context. Under this visual-dependent question setting, our benchmark is designed to evaluate visual common sense knowledge and visual reasoning skills. So our exploration and dataset construction are guided by the following question. How good are the visual understanding and the reasoning skill of the model? And secondly, how does the parametric knowledge of the model affect its response to a question? And finally, is the model able to capture temporal relation of multiple images? And on the other hand, the visual supplement questions are questions that can be answered without the visual input. The visual component merely just provide, supplemental information or correction. For example, in some large language model can answer, is New Mexico state larger than Texas states, using prior knowledge in their parametric memory without actually looking at a US map. So under this setting, our benchmark is designed to evaluate the visual reasoning ability as well as the balance between the parametric memory and image context. Our exploration are guided by the following question. First, when the model lacks prior knowledge in the parametric memory of its language module, does the model still hallucinate about the image? And secondly, when the model's language module has sufficient prior knowledge in its parametric memory, or just directly know the answer, does this still enhance its response by gathering actual information from the visual or from the visual supplements, especially when the prior knowledge conflict with the visual input or parametric memory? And lastly, how well can a model interpret a visual input with dense information, like a graph, chart, map? Additionally, what type of image manipulation could impede or distort those visual information extraction? And secondly, I want to talk about the benchmark. As a benchmark data set, we design different types of accuracy metrics to evaluate the correctness of the model. I will not go much into detail about this. Um, I want to highlight our benchmark as an analytical benchmark such that it can expose different failure of the model. So for example, something we know widely exists within most VLMs is tendency to answer yes or give affirmative answer. We call such failure yes-no bias. We design metrics to measure how likely the model want to answer yes. The first metrics measure the difference between the number of produced yes and actual yes. And then the second measurement is the percentage of yes output out of all incorrect answer. And secondly, we also want to measure the consistency of the model. Basically, we want to measure that among the answer to several questions, there's no contradictory output. For example, in this slides, given one image and several questions, we wish the model to answer only yes to one of the question and no to the other two. Otherwise, the model could be just making random guess. And so we designed this figure accuracy to measure the logistic consistency of the model. And finally, we want to examine two failure components of the VLMs. To facilitate this, we gave the definition of language hallucination and visual illusion. In language hallucination, it refers to the perception formed without relevant visual inputs. In language hallucination, the model makes prior assumption about the input and the image context based on its parametric knowledge. The model should respond based on how the question is framed instead of ignoring it and make false assumption about the image. And on the other hand, visual illusion denotes the misinterpretation of the accurate visual information. Visual illusion comes from the failure to recognize and understand the input image visually. The model could not obtain accurate information or reason about image correctly. Now, let's take a look at some examples and analyze by case. This is the example of language hallucination. Based on the response to the left image, which is original from the internet, we know that GPT-4 has the answer and know it is a well-known illusion figure. So it answers correctly. But after we modify the image and make the bottom yellow line longer, GPT-4 Vision still gives the same answer. So therefore, based on those two images, we know the model is using its parametric knowledge and gives a biased response. So it's likely to be language hallucination. And in this example, we showed two perpendicular lines, and GPT-4 Vision gave incorrect answer. We know it's not likely to be in the parametric knowledge since it's just a vertical line and a horizontal line. But now let's look at the example with another question. We put it on the left, and in the left original image, the model can recognize the two lines of the same length. Therefore, we are more certain that the example on the left gives the example on the right gives an incorrect example due to visual illusion. With paired question, we understand the failure better. Now that we analyze two cases, great, but we want to automate this process. And to do that, our data is structured in pairs so that we can do a better job using logic and a few heuristic to build a decision tree. So for example, here's another question pair. On the left, the model does not know the answer to the question and gives an uncertain response. But after giving the chart, the model gives incorrect answer. So we know the failure is within vision encoder and due to visual illusion. We designed this decision tree and used GPT-4 Vision with proper prompts and instruction to parse the VLM output and the actual answer and generate whether the response is correct or not. I will not go into detail about this tree, but we've given several example pairs and show the corresponding decision path. Please refer to our report starting page 30. And this is our leaderboard. Notably, the SOTA GPT-4 vision achieves merely around 30% question pair accuracy, while the performance of all methods fall below 16%. Our benchmark poses challenge to existing VLMs. In addition, I want to highlight the evaluation by hand and by GPT-4 vision on the first few rows shows that our GPT-4 vision assisted evaluation is fairly acceptable. And in this analytical benchmark regarding yes-no bias, consistency, as well as language and vision diagnosis, we can see that GPT-4 vision also have the best and most stable performance. And the very competitive model, the Lava 1.5, suffers a lot from yes-no bias. And additionally, visual illusion is the predominant issue in most VLMs. And finally, a couple of takeaways. First, parametric knowledge sometimes overtake the visual feature. The model should handle the trade-off between the parametric knowledge and context better. Secondly, when there's no parametric knowledge, the model still suffers from visual illusion. The visual capability of existing large VLM is still very limited. And thirdly, the model can easily mislead by simple image manipulation like flipping, rotation, auto reversing, etc. And finally, those models could not handle temporal relationship very well. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time. If you have any question, please send us an email or just follow us on Twitter for more updates on the benchmark and our work. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Theandro, for such an insightful session. It was really fruitful, and I think our attendees learned a lot from you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, next up, we have Yangsu from Cornell University, and he's going to speak about voice to action language models as agent for efficient real time interaction in virtual reality. The stage is yours. Hello, Yangsu. Are you able to hear me?
Hello? Can you hear my voice?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, thank you.
The stage is all yours, please.
Yeah. So hello everyone. Today I'm gonna talk about our Unity package and also a paper, voice to action, which is using language models in virtual reality. Um, so firstly, let's talk about what we did in this work. So we want to solve a question that when user input some textual command, we actually let the 3D scene uh, execute code actions to follow our commands. So in this case, I'm going to show two popular game engines that run the VR scene built upon our input actions that the user defined. So I'm going to first show this one. So in this case, we perform actions called generate computers on tables. You can see that we have vision models to detect and extract locations and properties of objects. And the end result is that we input a user text command, and then the 3D scene actually perform code executions to perform our actions. You can see in this case, even if we change locations of tables before the actions are executed, it can still execute actions correctly on these objects. So let me get this back in. So the current challenge of applying or deploying a language model system to virtual reality is very challenging, mainly because two problems. Firstly, is that we have too many functions and interaction categories in 3D environments, which means the game engine itself contains a lot of function calls, and there are thousands of tools we can use to generate functions to provide action executions. And secondly, because there's too many functions, if you're using traditional method, say React or AutoGPT or other tree of thought or other methods to generate long-step reasoning loops, it's going to be very inefficient because the number of prompts you're going to send in is too many, and there's too many tools you can use to actually perform the execution. So, which causes a lack of efficiency for real-time interactions, which is very important in VR because people need to interact them with the system in real time. So our framework provide a guidelines to perform low-cost function calls by using the game engines, which is the engine that run the VR scene, to only let the system focus on relevant tools in the engine. And we also perform as a parallelizable code execution, which means if the user instruction contains some tool calls that can be run in parallel, we prompt the system to make it as parallelizable as possible. And certainly, we support customizable interaction sets, which means user can add their own tools or own functions in the engines to perform customized behaviors that are also going to be low cost and parallelizable as incorporated by the system. So the full pipeline is that our input is in the top left corner where we input voice command, and we go through a voice recognition model to go through to generate a text that corresponds to this voice, the user instructions. And then the text command can be sent to a various sequential number of models. In this case, if we're using parallels arrows, it means that these operations can be parallelized. In this case, we give it actions. Actions in the case referring to classes or scripts or rendering types of the game engines. So say they can be generation-based scripts or extraction-based scripts or selection-based scripts. And we're not going to get into the details of that. And then we have subsequent lines of things to process. And then in the end, the code execution is performed by incorporating the VR environment configurations. You can see that as a memory bank of our system. And we use that to virtually execute the instructions. If the execution is correct, then we perform that with other scripts. If it's not correct, we go back with negative examples to make the system refine its result based on the 3D environment changes. So I'm going to give you two core components of the system. First one is the planning stage. Usually in the planning stage of traditional methods, we plan in with a long type reasoning loops. In this case, we can actually plan from environment configuration in the engine, which means that you see that this part is the game engine rendering part of each frame update. So it first initializes the game and then calls input actions of the users. Say they have eye gaze-based actions, gesture-based actions, they're gonna all be sent in here. And then it updates the game based on the function calls it provides. So in this case, if you are given the input of generate computers on the tables, then the system knows that this action does not have correlation with gaze or gesture-based actions. So you can ignore all the functions and scripts defined here. Along with other, the script I didn't show. It only corresponds in this case, the game initialization part, where it calls the instantiation of objects, which is generating computers, and also the logic update, which is to finding the locations of the tables. And secondly, we perform parallelized tool use from environment feedback, which means that we have game engine feedback from code execution that we run these functions, and also we provide visual scene changes from a vision model that see the game engine feedback that comes from the generation process, which means if we are virtually executing these actions of generating computers, the vision model gonna extract the fact that a new instance called computer is instantiated. So it knows that this thing is correct, is executed correctly. So we get two kinds of feedback. And then if both succeeded, then we execute it forward, which means we first parallelize these two operations and let the vision model sees that these two, if these two operations are executed correctly, and also from the code execution feedback, and they are success, then we execute this function, which depends on the previous execution successfulness, and then we execute it in the end. For evaluation, we want to evaluate the inference cost of our model, which means the number of tokens generated in total in this case. So we measure it by firstly provide the number of trails, which means number of runs that the model takes to actually perform the execution correctly, and also the number of intermediate tokens and user instructions that generated in the intermediate agent systems. And then we multiply them together because the last trails is only last trails that we consider as succeed. So in this case, you can see that if we only have this is referring to only the execution model, then we need to take many trails and many tokens that prompts. We need to prompt the system to let it know all the tools' existence. And if we're adding more components, the planning stage and the tool use stage and the memory stage, that we can actually split the token numbers to different components that it can only focus on the relevant tools. So it doesn't need to provide a long reasoning steps to perform operations that it does not need. And also we see a much shorter number of trails, which is number of times it takes to succeed. And we also gonna be having in progress work of fine-tuning this model because we define the system to make minimum dependencies among each components. So each component can be actually fine-tuned individually, which means we can get feedback from each intermediate stage rather than traditional method where we only get the feedback after we execute all the code until the end. And we finally, we're gonna discuss some broader impact of this work. Firstly, we can use this system to perform interactive data generation, which means our system can be used to train these video generation models or other interactive world with more data. If you see there's data that are not enough to train these models, you can actually prompt the system to generate interactable data that can actually, along with the engine feedback that you can give to the model to let it understand what interaction correspondence are performed in this engine. And also we hope to see that in the future, we are going to have simulation engines for language models, opposed to, in our case, we use language models for game engines because these two systems are not designed to perform the actions that are that's smooth enough to just provide the actions in the general case. That we hope to see that there's more general engines for language models to actually simulate the world. And current limitations is that we restricted, the currently system is restricted to game engines, and also there are several different limitations that we hope to see in our work that we are currently doing. And our next step is to actually incorporate interactive feedback from the users so that the system knows that if you are given an input of generating a building, it knows that if the tool doesn't contain enough information to actually generate the building, it's going to ask back the user for more information. Thank you. That's our presentation.
Thank you so much for your session. It was incredibly enlightening and it left everyone with a deeper understanding.
Yeah,
Next,
thank you.
yeah. Next up, we have Liqiang from University of Texas at Dallas. and he's going to tell us more about his paper on faith score, which is evaluating hallucinations in large vision language models. Likyang, the stage is yours.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. I'm I'm trying to share my screen.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I'm trying to share my screen.
There's a button near the audio. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, hello everyone. I'm Li Changjing. I'm currently a PhD student in University of Texas at Dallas, and my topic I'm presenting is physical evaluating hallucinations in large vision language models. Firstly, let me introduce myself. Now I'm a PhD student, and my research directions mainly focus on the multimodal learning and natural language processing. Now I'm more interested in safety, the metrics, the evaluation for large vision language model and the large language model. Firstly, I want to introduce the background. Uh, So recently, many researchers focus on the multimodal learning, such as GPT-4 vision. GPT-4 vision is very useful because you can use it to deal with various modalities, images, language, and there are also some open source large vision language models such as Lava, the Amplex, uh, but there is a question that these models usually suffer from the hallucination problem. Uh, the hallucination problem means that the model usually generates misleading, fabricated information that is inconsistent with provided visual input. Uh, as shown in this figure, the prompt is what is unusual about this image. Uh, some vision language model may output the man is standing on the front of a car, but uh, it is not in the visual input. The man is on the back of a car, not in the front of the car. So, uh, so, so hallucination is a very important question because if you want to compare two vision language models, you have to evaluate and the evaluation result can tell you which uh, model is good. So how to evaluate? This is a very important question. Uh, but evaluations of vision language models faced several challenges. The first one is free form answers contain a high rate of descriptive and analytical contents. It means unlike the image caption, answering the complex questions in a free-form manner does not only generate the descriptive content of the given image, it may also contain analysis for such as common sense knowledge. Uh, as shown in this figure, some sub-sentences may describe the visual content in this image, but for the other sub-sentences, there are analysis, not the description. This content shouldn't be verified. And the second challenge is the model outputs are prone to the multiplicity of hallucinations. Current methods offer a constructed view on evaluating hallucinations, mainly focus on the coarse-grained object existence, while overlooking other fine-grained elements such as the attribute, the color, the size, and the relation between two objects. To tackle these challenges, we proposed a new evaluation framework. We called it as FISCAL. It mainly consists of three key steps. The first one is descriptive subsentence identification. Firstly, as I said before, you need to identify this content that should be verified. So you have to identify the descriptive content for the generated response from the visual language models, and then you must to evaluate the descriptive content fine-grained. For this end, you must to break the long response into the atomic facts. That means the artifacts is a unit. It contains the statement in the response, such as a man is doing something, the object, the color of the object, the size of the object. After we get the objects, we should verify the consistency between the factor and the image. To achieve this, we can use some VQ models or visual entanglement models to verify the consistency between the image and the atomic facts. For every atomic fact, you can get a verification result. To get the final result, you can aggregate this scores. To verify the effectiveness of our proposed metric, the FIS score, we call some students or employees to annotate a case, a small data set, and we can compare the correlation between human judgment and the automatic evaluation. And from this table, we compare our method and the existing automatic metrics, such as the blue, the roots, the chair. And from this table, we can see that our metric achieves the best performance compared with the other existing metrics. Then we also used our metric to evaluate the existing popular vision language models, and we selected the multimodal GPT, MinGPT, MPlug, Inject Bleep, Lava, this model to evaluate, and we found that the Lava 1.5 achieves best performance compared with the other existing popular vision language models. Besides this, we also do additional analysis. The first aspect is influence of answer length on hallucinations. From this table, to further study the impact of answer length on model-generated hallucinations, we analyze answer length across various vision language models. As shown in this figure, there is a significant variation in the distribution of answer length produced by different models. The multimodal GPT consistently generates the longest responses, potentially compressing its performance across tasks. We also studied the influence of multiple objects. This figure shows how the number of objects in the answer generated by different models affects the face score. It's well evident that the model's faithfulness varies with the number of objects. While all models start with relatively high scores, uh, when there are fewer objects in the answer, their performance generally drop as the number of objects increase. For example, for the interactive blip, it starts with a high face score of about 0.9 for one object and sustains a relatively low score of about 0.6 for 10 objects. We also analyze on the types of hallucinations to study the model strengths and vulnerabilities of each in maintaining faithfulness. We compared the faithfulness performance of various models across different categories of hallucination. From this table, this figure, we can observe that while Lava 1.5 consistently exceeds across most categories, other models also showcase strengths in specific domains. For example, multimodal GPT performs worse in the faithfulness of most types, but perform notably well in the faithfulness of current category. The bad performance of some category sometimes may provide insightful information for model improvement. Importantly, achieving consistently high faithfulness across a diverse range of categories remains a challenge for the existing large vision language models. For this paper, we mainly we have three contributions. The first one is we introduce the face score metric tailored to assess various types of hallucinations in the large vision language models, free from answers to open-ended questions, which is rarely addressed by current studies. To the best of knowledge, we first systematically study the large vision language models free-form answers and evaluate the fine-grained hallucinations in them. And then in our quest to understand the hallucination by large vision language model, we conduct a comprehensive experiments with 6 public available models across different data sets. Our findings underscore that the hallucination remains a pricing challenge for current large vision language models. And I also found that some researchers are using our proposed metric physical for evaluation. I hope more researchers can use it to evaluate the hallucination in the vision language models. Thank you. That's my point. If you have some questions, you can send my email.
Thank you so much for your session. It was truly enriching and it greatly benefited everyone present here. Next up, we have Irfan Shainigi. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly. He's from University of California, Riverside, and he's going to talk about Jailbreak in Pieces, compositional adversarial attack on multimodal language models. The stage is all yours.
Hi everyone, can you see my screen and can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible and I'm able to see your screen.
Sure. Okay, thank you so much for your time and also the good presentations from other people. I'm going to present our paper. Its name is Jailbreaking Pieces, Compositional Adversarial Attacks on Multimodal Language Models. This paper has been accepted as a spotlight presentation into ICLR 2024, and it also won the Best Paper Award at SOCAN LLP. Um, so let me first give you a very brief background of security and safety alignment of LLMs. As you know, LLMs go through safety training after they have been fine tuned or instruct tuned, so that they learn not to respond to every prompt, especially the bad prompts. Like for example, a prompt can be uh, tell me how to create a bomb or something. The thing is that as these LLMs are getting bigger and bigger, and because the pre-training dataset is like consists of trillions of tokens, these LLMs have like many even hidden capabilities that the safety training dataset cannot compete with or cannot catch up with, because the safety training datasets have been very simple datasets of text to text. So imagine we have a lot of prompts and a lot of preferred answers that we want the LLM to learn them. But as I said, because the pre-training dataset is too huge, then we can see that these two training strategies cannot catch up with each other, and often the safety training dataset is too simple that cannot generalize to the capabilities of the large language model. So if I want to give you a very good example, is that these LLMs are very good at, even in their pre-training dataset, they are exposed to a lot of like multilingual data and these kind of things. So there were, for example, some papers that showed that even safety trained LLMs can be easily jailbroken with uh, how can I say, multilingual prompts that are equivalent to English bad prompts. So imagine, for example, if I want to ask an LLM how can I cut myself without others nothing, or something like that, I mean a bad prompt or a malicious prompt, the LLM can will respond to it because it has been safety trained, sorry, won't be responding to it. But you can simply change it to another language. And because, again, the safety training dataset has been too small and too simple and probably only in English, it means that the safety training dataset cannot generalize to these. Or another example is the encoding capabilities of these LLMs that, again, they learn from their pre-training strategies. So some papers have shown that you can simply encode your prompts into base 64 and other different schemas of encoding. And again, the same pattern of the fact that the safety training dataset cannot generalize to all of these capabilities means that there are some loopholes in these safety training datasets that, again, because they are so simple. So why did I give you this background? It's because we also discovered something when it comes to multimodal large language models. So uh, maybe this is a good example that I want to first show you. So probably you're all familiar with these vision language models. So uh, many of them consist of an image encoder or a vision encoder, and then some fusion layers, and then those are mapped into a joint emitting space as the language model. So, uh, sorry. And the thing is that what we found out and what we discovered is that if at first you ask a VLM on write me a manual on how to build a bomb, and the VLM, let it be Lava or Llama Adapter version 2, I mean these safety trained LLMs on top of these VLMs, because they have been safety trained in the textual domain, sure. So they won't give you the answer because you still haven't, you still have something malicious into your prompt. But what if you can leverage the weakness that I just mentioned? I mean, the fact that the safety training has been only text to text, hasn't been cross modal, and it has been like very simple. What if you could decompose the maliciousness into an image and a benign prompt? So as you can see later, we can prompt the LLM, prompt the VLM on write me a manual on how to build these objects. So we created a data set, and we call these prompts as generic prompts. What we mean is that they are general and they infer the context from the input image. So these objects depends on the input image. And what if you now put the bad stuff or the malicious concepts into the image modality. And again, because the LLM has been only safety trained on a text to text corpus, it cannot generalize to this domain or to that part in the embedding space or joint embedding space of both the vision and the language embedding space, so that it can be easily broken. And as you can see, it can give us like the instructions on how to create a bomb or something. And what I've done here, just not to confuse you, it's that we can also come up with an adversarial image in the embedding space of the vision encoder. So usually, for example, think about a vision encoder like Clip, OpenAI Clip, uh, because at first, at usually the first layers of these VLMs, we have a vision encoder, right? And then the embedding of the image after it has been passed through the vision encoder goes to the fusion layers and then the rest of the architecture. So as far as the architecture and as far as the LLM is concerned, it can only see the output of the vision encoder, right? So what if we can say, okay, we can assume we have access to the vision encoders, and this is not a bad assumption actually. Why? Because in most of these models like Llama Adapter version 2, Multimodal GPT, and most of these, the vision encoder is frozen during both the pre-training and instruction tuning of the large vision language models. And that gives the attackers and like malicious people opportunities to use the same clip or vision encoders on the internet to be able to somehow trick these open source models on the internet. So what we did is that we can also come up with an adversarial image that is very close in the embedding space to the adversarial image with respect to the clip. So once we do the optimization algorithm, and this is just a very simple optimization algorithm that tries to uh, map both of the embeddings of the target image and the adversarial image to the same point in the embedding space of clip. And from that moment on, as far as again your vision language model is concerned, you can input the adversarial image, which is semantically similar as this image of bombs and grenades, with your generic prompt and break the LLM. So what we want to emphasize and what we emphasized in the paper is that we need cross-modality safety alignment, and it shouldn't just be like the focus shouldn't be only on the alignment of the top LLM in these architectures. The whole system and the whole pipeline should be adversarially trained with respect to both vision and the target language. The thing is that this threat model that we have found is also very generalizable and has some levels of compositionality, which makes it a little bit more like a little bit harder to detect and a little bit harder to defend. Why? Because we can, as you can see, or as we can guess, we can couple textual prompts with malicious triggers in a compositional manner, because the textual prompts are generic prompts, so they say these objects. So when you couple them with different images containing different concepts, so for example, the top image is containing like OCR stuff about drug, and the below image is about bombs. The thing is that the LLMs are too good at getting the context or the contaminated context from the vision encoder, that they can then lead their generation towards the attacker's area. And that was what we did. Also, we created a very small data set of these bad images, but because of the compositionality and because of the elevated capabilities of these LLMs, we could expect it that we can now generate a lot of malicious textual prompts easily, and then we could like do a lot of experiments actually. And as you can see, we tested it on both Lava and Llama Adapter version 2. uh, as you can see, and these are the scenarios that are like outlined by OpenAI. These are the bad scenarios like sexual, hateful, violence, and these kind of scenarios. And as you can see, we on average we could like 87% of the time with our best triggers, I mean best images, break the safety alignment of Lava, which usually has Llama 2 or Vicuna on top of it, and again the Llama Adapter version 2. And something very interesting, which is related to multimodal understanding, is that as you can see for Llama Adapter version 2, the success rate of the attack is a little bit lower. Why this happens? This is not because Llama Adapter version 2 is better than Lava. No, actually Lava is better than Llama Adapter version 2 in terms of like benchmarks in multimodal understanding and these kind of things. And this gets back to the thing that I just mentioned in the beginning of my presentation. as these models get bigger and bigger, or as they become more capable, the attack surfaces and the vulnerability surfaces also grow. So what I mean is that because Lava is probably better at understanding context from the image and map it to the joint embedding space of the language compared to Llama Adapter version 2, this also elevates its attack surfaces. So it's like that the attack surface for Lava is actually more effective or bigger for like compared to Llama Adapter version 2. And as I said again, for the optimization algorithm, we didn't assume that we have any access to the large language model or anything. In fact, this attack or this vulnerability comes from the joint embedding space in the input side without us knowing even what the LLM on top is. And in order to come up with that adversarial image that I just mentioned through an optimization algorithm, we can only assume that we have access to this vision encoder, which can typically be clip of a clip. And then we can, as I said, try to make the adversarial image and the target image as close as possible in the embedding space with respect to each other. So I'm not sure how much time is left for me, but I'm trying to like make it to an end right now in case you had any questions, and also leave time for the next presenter. And yeah, thank you so much. So I'd be happy to discuss anything with you. Just shoot me an email or anything. And yeah, so I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for providing a lot of valuable insights, and everyone gained a lot from it.
Sure.
Next up, we have Yifan Yang, and he's gonna speak about geolocator, a location integrated large multimodal model for inferring geoprivacy. The stage is all yours.
Hello, can you hear my voice?
Yeah, you're audible.
Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, it.
Okay, okay.
Well,
Can you see my screen and hear my voice? Sure. Please give me
yeah, yeah.
thumbs up. Okay, thank you so much. Hello everyone. My name is Yifan Yang, and my topic is about geolocator, a large multimodal model for inferring geoprivacy. And this is my topic.
Yifan, I think you have muted yourself. Could you unmute, please?
Someone close my voice. Can you hear my voice now?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. I'm sorry about it. Let me try again. Hello everyone, my name is Yifan Yang, and this is my topic about geolocator, a large location integrates large multimodals for inferring geoprivacy. And I'm a student from the Southern California, and my major is spatial data science. Firstly, before I want to introduce my paper, I want to show my abstract. I think the abstract can let everyone familiar with my work. My topic is about geoprivacy. I think geoprivacy is very important in reference to keeping private of everyone's geographic locations, especially the restrictions of geographic data. And from some personal electronic device, for example, for your phone, maybe your phone has so many informations about geoprivacy, and geoprivacy is very important. However, I think with large multimodal models, for example, LMMs such as GPT-4 for open source intelligence, it brings lots of risks associated with geoprivacies. Maybe you can use some GPT-4 to infer some informations from people's social social work. And this study developed a large language models, GPT-4, based on a model we call the name geolocator, and we designed 4 experiments to demonstrate its abilities in inferring the location information of the input images and social media content. And we also conclude some tests and experiments about geolocators, and our findings for individual and community. At this point, we need to focus, we need to pay attention on how to protect our geo-privacy. Geo-privacy is very important in these areas, and so everyone need to take care about this geo-privacy on the advanced AI technologies and widespread social media usage. And for the next part, I want to show you 2 pictures, and you can see the 2 pictures. This picture is generated from the GPT-4, and you can see the picture is so good. It's very powerful tool. You can use GPT-4 to do lots of things. However, I think everyone knows about the data. Data is very important, and data is very, very crucial for a lot of things. However, if you use some powerful tool, maybe you will lose your data. Maybe some others people will know your data. So according to this part, I will make introductions about the paper. The first part is the challenge of geographic privacies. The first things I want to give definitions about geographic privacy. I think the protections and confidentiality of the personal geographic informations, including some real-time and including some historic movement patterns and some spatial location data. And challenges nowadays, I think there are so many high technologies. We have so many, for example, navigations, traveling tickets, and some social medias can give you lots of convenience. But however, it also gives us a high risk to make others technologies to influence your geoprivacy. And with the rapidly developed about the GPT-4, and we can use the GPT-4, and we can, based on the GPT-4, try to use some GPTs to gather some information from some published images. And based on this topic, we do lots of the experiments. And we introduced a new geolocator tool. We use GPT-4, and with some lots of the instruction knowledge, and with lots of the input and output, we build a model. It's called geolocator, and we can use some experiment evaluations. We set up lots of experiments based on various data sets, including some Google Map images and daytime and nighttime and social media posters, and we compare the capabilities of regularly Google search engines, GPT-4 and geolocator in geoprivacy problems. And we found that geolocator can generate some specific geographic details with high accuracy, and it can be highlight the risk of the users to expose their geoprivacy information to the public. And according to the strategies, now we need to emphasize, we need to pay attention to do some things to protect our geoprivacy. And I also do lots of read some papers to do the related work. And as I know, University of Stanford University, they have two researchers to do the same things. They use the clip, they use some transformer BART, they use these technologies to do the same things. They also can infer some locations from the images. However, they try lots of time. They try a lot of time and use lots of hours to do the same things. But now you need to know GPT-4 is very stronger, it's very powerful, and you can use GPT, you can use BERT, you can use this advanced in computing power and training technologies, and you can use them in different domain. And as we know, the GPT-4 can be a large multimodals and can integrate with text and version data together. It means you can not only from some text, you can also get some information from the images. It's very powerful. And the GPT-4 from the have also a lot of the applications on the geospatial domain. And in the geospatial domain now, we can now still have some geoland. We can integrate some geospatial data with linguistic information to better understand geographic. And now we can also have a new applications geolocator. We can use LMMs to inferring some geospatial inference, and we can also know the specific address from these images. This is our product, and you can see this is the picture. This picture is a take in the Los Angeles, and once you up to the images to our geolocator, and our geolocator will analyze these images, and also they will give us some key details. For example, they notice some sign, they will see some simple things, and this is very important. And then once you up to your images, and our geolocator will give you the specific address. And this is our link where you can have a try to use our GPT-4 tools. And this is workflow about to develop a new tool, how to make a new tool geolocator. And I think maybe everyone familiar with a tool about GPS, and you can try to use GPS to develop your own tool. And for the GPS, you just need to have your own knowledge and instructions. You just need to put some instruction to the model, and the model will, with these instructions, with some knowledge, they will have the strong capabilities. For example, we provide some instructions and knowledge to the geolocator. We select some function from the web and image creations and data analyze, and we define our models. It's a open source intelligence frameworks, and we can do some work like geographic, and our geolocator can also clarify some different languages, and we also build some detailed instructions on various aspects. And then we hope our geolocator can solve the problems step by step. And then based on our instructions and based on our knowledge, our geolocator can do lots of things. For example, our geolocator can analyze the street views images, and it can also do some version and verbal analyze, and can also to pre-processing our images, and can also use the GPT-4 for map versions, can generate some pictures, and it can also search on the internet, because everyone knows GPT-4 have the use being to have the search, and our GPT-4 can also do the same things. And we still have a lot of the API combinations. We can use some API to get some more information to help us. And then you can see this picture. This picture is our geolocator. How to infer the locations. For example, we have three different kind of the pictures. The first one is landmark, and then it's have two angle images, and it's street view. And we compare with two different situations. The first one is daytime and nighttime, and second one is social media. We just need to input the images to the geolocator, and geolocator will give you the analyze process. For example, the geolocator will think about examine the version details and think about the street sign, vegetations, skyline, and we'll also use some online resource to refine the hypothesis, and we'll use the Earth plug to compare, and we'll also use the being to compare. And for the final output, it will give you the longitude and latitude. It will also give you the street address. And then I want to introduce the experiment design to test out our geolocator. We want to try to compare the Google search engine and GPT-4 and geolocator. So we use some different source images type. For example, we use some Google Maps. We also take some pictures by ourselves. We also use some Google images, and we also use some social media posters. And we can, as you can see, we try to use the different kind of the images. For example, some landmarks, some street view without landmarks, and some images from at the 2:10, for example, different time, and the images from the China, and images from some social medias by our research team. The number of our images is not so big. It's just 50 images. This is our experiment. And this part, I want to introduce the four experiment designed to try to use geolocator. We compare the images locations among the Google search engine, GPT-4, and geolocator, and we also compare the location inference based on the images and text instructions. And we also have tried to compare the different languages on the inference result. For example, as you know, when I try to use some Chinese to the geolocator, I think we will not get the result. But however, if you use some English languages, it will give you a better result. And for example, if you upload a picture take from the China and then you try to use Chinese, it will give a better result. However, if you give them different languages, they have the different result. And we also evaluate the geolocator performs on the social media. I think social media is very important. For example, lots of people in social media will post their favorite. For example, someone will say, "Oh, they like play basketball," and some sentence, and then lots of people will use some GPT-4 to analyze their informations. However, you can also to do the same things to get some information from the images, and GPT geolocator gives them the strong power on the inferring the images on the social media poster. And then I want to talk about the result. We compare the image locations inference ability among three different tools, and we can know that for the landmark, we give them the 50 pictures, and the geo search engine can give us 88% accuracy, but geolocator is the best, it's 94. And for some different, for example, some street review, it's very difficult for inferring the address because it is real hard. Even some people can know this is their own address. So the geolocator also show the better result. They will give us the 54%. And for the daytime and the nighttime, the geolocator give us the different result. But compare with different tool, compare with GPT-4, compare with Google search engine, geolocator are the best one. And then we can move to the next picture, and you can see this image from take from my home, and this is the image take from the Los Angeles, and they have different data type. And the Google search, it's only to infer this picture is take on the state, and GPT-4 can make an inference. Maybe it take a city, but however, you can use geolocator. You can give the street address from these images, and the accuracy compared with the actual address is only 0.0034 millions the distance. So it's a very big influence. It's a very big fun. And according to the next part, we have a conclusions on our experiment. We will show some image perspective. We test with different angles of Taipei 101 images, and we show the result that if you can use more pictures, you can use more images, it will give the better result. We can also use some USC Park campus, and we found that if you can use some more text prompt, it will give you a better result. And we also try to compare with different languages, and we know the languages is also important for the result. And for the last part, it's about social medias. I think social media is everyone's. It's very important. Everyone focus on the social medias. So test the capability to infer locations from the real world, from the social media. It's very meaningful. It's very important. And geolocator can process complex information in social media and accuracy and inferring the locations is very important. And for the final part, we want to say our can discover from the geolocator. Our geolocator can better than Google search, better than GPT-4 in inferring specific locations, especially in street views. And we can also try to use different languages with different additional images. And we found the differences between images and text prompt, and we found the differences in different languages. And we also think about a very important point. It's social media. We demonstrate the strong capability in inferring locations from the diverse data in social media platform. However, we also talk about the contributions and for our geolocator. I think our geolocator will give us offering a street level location inference that showcase the large multimodals the analyze in the real world. It's amazing. And we also need to focus on some policy. We need to have the more better policy to protect everyone's geo privacy. And we still found some limitations and concerns on geolocator. We need to have some challenges with processing the launch instructions and suspending output. We need to also find some data exposure, and we need to find some data confidence in some sensitive geographic informations. And then we also do a story map. This story map is also use the same tool with use the geolocator. We use our geolocator. It can also do a lot of more interesting things. It can give you a better strategies about where you can make a travel plan. For example, you can give our geolocator several pictures. This picture is your want to have a travel, and our geolocator can put these pictures and give you the pictures address and can give you a better strategies for your travel. And this is all our work, and you still can find the link to find our work and job. And thanks for your listening. This is all my work. I hope if you have any questions, maybe you can email me, and maybe you can read my paper to find my contact. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your session. The depth of knowledge shared in your session was remarkable and it resonated with all participants. I'm sure about it. And next up, we have Yong Chow Chen, and he's going to present his research paper on AutoTAM, auto regressive task and motion planning with LLMs as translators and checkers. The stage is all yours.
Hello. So let me share my screen. Sorry, I found I can't share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen as well? Hello, so can everyone see my full screen right now?
Your screen is visible.
Okay, so maybe let me start. Hello, everyone. So my name is Yong Chao. I'm currently a third-year PhD student in MIT. And today I would like to talk about our recent one paper on this year's eCRO. And its name is AutoTAMP, Auto-Regressive Task and Motion Planning with Large Models as Translators and Checkers. So this paper is also selected to be presented in the Vision Language Model model seminar workshop in this year's eCRO. And if you scan the QR code here, you can access the website and also the paper. So when talk about robotics, I think nearly everyone has this kind of like the concept about what are the satisfying robots they want. For example, in my from my imagination or from the imagination of Mid-Journey, we all think about this kind of robots that the robot can help us make the dinner and also can help us do many common works. But if we look into our real life, there's no such kind of robots in our current life. So actually, for our current life, what we have is this kind of like the cleaning robots or the Amazon warehouse robots or manufacturing robots. And then the common thing about all these kind of robots in our real life is that they are all specialized in one task, but they just lack the intelligence. They don't satisfy what our requirements about this kind of like general robots. So first we want to explore the question why we still don't have these kind of robots. So here is a very common situation. I mean, here is a mobile robots, and this mobile robots is located in a common room, a common kitchen, and then this mobile robot has a manipulator on its body so that it can do the pick and place, these kind of stuffs. So then if we want to get a household robot, then there is a common situation like the human will ask this question: I spilled my Coke, can you bring me something to clean it up? And this common situation, it happens a lot of times in our real life. But so to all humans, we think it's very easy. But actually, it's not such easy, because if we think about how to solve these tasks, actually it requires a high reasoning capability. For example, the possible reasonable thinking steps can be like, first, what tools to clean the Coke, and then what is the tool, and then how to pick up tool and how to bring it to a user. So this kind of thinking ability or reasoning ability is currently what the current robots they lack. I mean, they need intelligent brains for the language, for first the language understanding and then the general task planning. So that comes to the recent very hot topic, like using larger models or foundation models as a central brains for task planning. And we know that large models, since it is trained on large corpus of the text data, and it is trained to simulate humans' speaking style, then it inherently encodes many humans' common knowledge. For example, if here the human asks, I spill my Coke, can you bring me something to clean up? Then the large model will divide this task into the step-by-step task, like first find the sponge, and then pick up the sponge, and then go to the table. And then if we can then connect these subtasks into the extra action modular, then we think the large model, the robot can accomplish these long horizon tasks. So that's a work from the SML work 2 years before. And then another representative work is that based on this initial framework, they add the action executability feedback. This means after the larger model plans the action sequences, then sometimes these kind of actions are not doable or not practical in the current situation. So in this way, if you have an extra model that can do the checking process, then that works. So the third representative work is from last year's ICRO. It means, so here my idea is close to the previous two. I mean, use large models to do the direct step-by-step action plan. But the difference is that here they use the code as the intermediate language. I mean, all the actions are defined with the Python code. So for all these kind of methods, we'll see that the common characteristic is that first, they all use larger models, common knowledge, and then they want this kind of common knowledge of large models to contribute to robots' high degrees of generalizability. And another thing is that they all use larger models as a direct task planners. I mean, they directly put the task description to the large model and then ask it to output the step-by-step subtask plans to handle this long horizon task. So So then a very general question is, can large model be a cure-all planner for robots? I mean, if that's true, then all things are fixed out. I mean, we don't need to work because larger models and the robots will work for us. But unfortunately, it's not true because in some situations, using large model as a direct planner fails. So here is one of challenge is that for the tasks involving complex task and motion planning, I mean, this kind of the framework can still fail. So here I would like to define what is a task planning and motion planning. Task planning means you plan subtask sequences. I mean, for example, like the places to visit or object to grasp. And motion planning means you after you get this kind of like the step-by-step task planning actions, then you plan the specific trajectory of the robot or robot arms to accomplish these task plans. And this trajectory can be like the trajectory for the autonomous driving cars and also for like the grasping. And our work here we argue that the previous work like directly query larger model to do the step-by-step actions actually is not such strong enough to solve this kind of like highly complex task and motion planning problem. For example, here is a very common problem: shortest path tasks. Like here is a robot, and the robot is located among many buildings, and then the question is that ask the robot to visit all the buildings, but with the shortest path. So this task is typically that the task planning and the motion planning, they depends with each other. I mean, here the task planning means the places to visit. I mean, the place visiting order, and the motion planning means the trajectories. But here, the order of the places to visit highly depends on the trajectory optimization. And also, the trajectory optimization highly depends on the orders. So in this way, if you directly use like previous work to ask the other model to do a step-by-step plan, it will fail. Why it will fail? Because large models are not good at spatial understanding and numerical optimization. And why is not good at these two abilities? Because large models are not trained for this task. They are trained for the text understanding and the text generation. So the good thing here is that if we look into the traditional algorithm-based planner in robotics domain, we can find that there are already many capable task and motion planners that can do the optimization stuff. So here, what we apply is a signal topologic-based planner, STL-based planner, to solve the task and motion planning task. So STL is a type of the formal language to specify tasks. I mean, so the framework is that the humans will input a natural language instruction, and then the large model will translate the natural language to the STL. And then if we put the STL into the time planner, then the time planner will directly output the trajectories. So here is one example. Like the natural language instruction can be visit all the buildings within 30 seconds. And then the STL expression is like this. So these two expressions, I mean, the natural language instruction and the formal language expression, their semantic meanings are the same, and they can translate to each other. So a very straightforward idea is that why not combine large models with time planners? Large model for the language understanding and common knowledge, and time planner for the planning and the optimization. So this is our main framework. So here I would like to spend some time to introduce our framework. So here, to ask the large model to translate the natural language into the STL, first we will input the user's language instruction, like we did 2 rooms with closest colors to red but not red, and also state of observation. This state of observation is the text description of the surrounding environments, like the current buildings have this kind of like the different color rooms. And then what we hope is that the larger model can output the correct answer, like the translated STL like this. Finally visit purple kitchen, and finally visit pink bedroom. But unfortunately, we find that in most cases, it will output the answer like this. So if we compare the answer 1 with the correct answer, then we'll see that there are some of the problems. I mean, first, if you look into their syntax, sometimes the line model will do some hallucinated syntax generation. I mean, here we want it to output the AND syntax, but here it does not put on the AND. Yeah, and so that's what. So there is syntactic errors. So the way to do so is that we add an extra algorithm-based syntactic tracker. I mean, this syntactic tracker will get the large model generated answers and then check whether this answer is syntactically correct. If not, we'll feed back to the large model and then ask it to generate again. And this iteration terminates until the answer, the output of large model is syntactically correct. And then we can get the answer 2 like here. So the good thing is that answer 2, if we compare with the correct answer, syntactically is correct, but semantically it has some problems. The problem is that the correct answer, we hope it can get the purple kitchen, but here the answer 2 is the red bathroom. I mean the red color. Yeah, so the semantic meanings of answer 2 is not consistent with the initial language instruction. And then, so the way we want to mitigate this gap is that we still put it into the time planner to get the trajectories. These trajectories, I mean, it is each component is the x position, y position, and the time. And this kind of the waypoints will be further put into the robot to do the motion. But here, if we directly put the trajectory into the large model to do a self-reflection, that will be a problem because large model cannot understand the numerical things. So the way we do it is that we transform this kind of numerical trajectory into the state sequence. Like at the time 0, you are in the white road, and at the time 1.8, you are in the red bathroom. And then this state sequence, they are text-based, so you can put it into the large model to ask it whether the current state sequence is consistent with what our language instructions, and if not, please change or modify your translated STL. So you can see that there are two loops: the syntactic tracking loop and the semantic tracking loop. And if they are converged, then that's our final answer. So as for these two loops, syntactic tracking, we'll see that nearly all the times it will be correct. But for semantic tracking, since we ask the large model to do the self-reflection, then sometimes it will still fail. But the performance is quite good. So here is our experiments, and we tested on 5 different tasks, and each task is involve the complex time task and motion planning problems. So we'll see that the red bar here is our method, and the blue bar here is previous work, like directly using large model as a step-by-step action planner. And we'll see that our work is much better than the previous methods. And also we do the ablation studies to show whether the syntactic tracking and the semantic tracking can apparently improve the performance. And we'll see that here the blue bar is a method that without the both two trackings, and the green is that only has the syntactic tracking, and the red is with both trackings. And you'll see each of these kind of tracking method can improve the performance. So here are some of our demos, and you'll see in the first demo, these 3 robots, they need to visit all the blue goals here, and then return back to the red and pink area. But still, they should not collide onto all the black areas, and also they need to accomplish all the tasks in the limited time. And you'll see that our work can figure out the trajectory very well. And another thing is that there are 4 jumps, and they need to pass through the hole one by one, but they should not collide with each other, not collide onto the wall. And you'll see that they can plan these kind of actions very good. So So the summary of our work is that the innovation part, we combining large model with algorithm-based panel to handle the complex time problems, and also introducing synthetic and semantic tracking frameworks to improve performance. And I think for future work is that based on our experiments, we found our framework will be very effective if the task involves a highly complex task and motion planning problem. But for many tasks in our common life, they do not have this kind of like geometric constraints. I mean, for example, you directly ask the robot to pick up one thing, then directly ask the large model to do it can already do very well. So the further work is that to combine these two together to get a more effective and efficient way. So apart from this work, also I have some other works like focusing on like foundation model agents for the robots, and also their areas are quite broad. Like I also do like the model fine tuning and the multi-agent collaboration and also the automatic prompt optimization. If you're interested, you can directly send me an email or visit on my website. So that's all of my talk. Do you have any questions?
So, thank you so much for your session. It was really insightful, and I think everyone learned a lot. And if you have any questions regarding the session, we've also created lounge where like we have a lounge for each speaker, and all the attendees can join in and interact with the speaker itself. So, this presentation brings us to the end of our multimodality paper presentation. And thank you guys for joining in. It was lovely hosting you. And there are other tracks running. There are four other tracks running, and you can join there. And if you can also join the lounge session where you can interact with the speakers. Thank you so much for coming.